Hello, trading is closed on the 11th of May, 2023. As always, we'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, and then we'll make some predictions. It's my trading plan for Friday, May 12th, 2023. Remember, I can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. We looked for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early low. I said this was a positive pattern. I said if it could be maintained at the open, I thought it was unlikely we'd see this MEJT target 41.1570. Well, it wasn't maintained at the open. We gapped down smartly. According to the rules, that killed the idea, and the target did print. This is a reminder of what we said. So the commonest thing was to gap and move promptly outside the day's range. That didn't happen. Next most common is close, little change, big move the next day. Little change I've defined as 0.25% or less. Change was 0.17%. So the first part of this has come true. If this plays out, which it'll do the vast majority of the time, tomorrow we should see a large move. Early on, MEJT gave an ultimate sell signal, the minimum target printed immediately right over here. Almost always you go past the minimum target, but you don't have to. When you do it, it's almost always the same day. And that didn't happen. So all I can say is we got the minimum, and although you usually get more, you don't have to. In the afternoon, we got a MEJT sell signal that worked, but again, you printed the minimum target immediately. You don't have to get more than the minimum, but we did. But it also generated an optional higher target, and that's printed too. The system generates price targets, and it's not unusual to generate both higher and lower targets. Well, here was this big drop. We've retraced 61.8%. That's resistance. There's also resistance at the same price from the FOMC announcement price of 41.32. So we've stopped at resistance. If you stop at resistance once, then reverse. That's the way it goes. You go back to resistance again, more often than not, it's not going to stop there. It's going to break through. Not going to say it's required. It's not. But usually, one try is all you get if that resistance is going to hold. If we're going to break through, you really should gap over it. We also gapped down, hit lower low, and the close was over all the lows. It's all positive stuff. It should lead to higher prices. But again, if you gap down smartly, the whole idea is killed before the open. Tomorrow's pattern has a really low. It could still gap up. We closed a little change today, and based on yesterday's pattern, we should see a big move tomorrow. Thursday's action should lead to more of a gain than we've seen. As I've said, when that pattern isn't negative, you tend to get more gains later on. Doesn't mean they happen immediately. We gapped down, hit lower low, but closed over intraday lows. And if that's maintained at tomorrow's open, this should lead to higher prices, even if we don't close higher. If we gap and promptly undercut the low a day, that kills the pattern. Even just gapping down smartly would kill the pattern, but it would probably undercut the low. We rallied to resistance at 61.8% of the opening drop. Resistance from the last FOMC announcement price is at the same level. So if we're to continue higher, then ideally we should gap over that resistance. And gapping up has less distance to travel than gapping down. But that doesn't mean gapping down is impossible. It's not my favorite call, but I can't say it's impossible. We've consolidated for the better part of a week, and if we get the gap open I expect, I'd expect to see follow-through in the same direction, with a good chance such follow-through would last throughout the day. If you break out of a consolidation, particularly on a Friday, it's pretty hard to reverse it. So I still think this action's positive stuff, but it can still be killed if you gap down smartly. But everything else I see argues for gapping up over this and going higher. I think it's the most likely course, but because I can't rule out gapping down, I'm not going to say it's the only course. We should know by the open, and that's today's call.